Women have been earning more degrees than men for a little while now, but we've never out-earned them or been overemployed than them until recently. I'm Dr. K. I'm an industrial organizational psychologist, and I research the unwritten rules of work for people from low-income backgrounds. And I also look at how a working class background intersects with gender, race, and neurodivergence. My partner sent me this interesting article. Let's take a look at it. This article largely is written about the UK, but it does talk about several other developed countries, including the US and Canada. The article shows data on how across the developed world, apparently a portion of young men they're not getting educations, and they're more likely to be unemployed than women are. But they're also not helping with other care in the home, such as with children or aging parents. In fact, as this article points out, they might be looking for someone to care for them instead. The article pointed out that in the UK, some women are starting to out earn men, and that's not true in the US. But it points out that men who are not college educated are not having the same status that they used to, which is interesting to me because right now Gen Z is shifting more into blue collar work because of AI and white collar and not wanting to play the game. Y'all know I'm always interested in class, and so I found this takeaway from the article interesting and relationship formation itself is being affected as growing numbers of female graduates discover a shortage of male socioeconomic counterparts and simultaneously have less need than ever to pair up with the man for financial support. I have mixed feelings about this because I think the latter part about women not needing to get married anymore to survive is a big deal that a lot of men are having a hard time reckoning with. That your grandmother didn't have a choice to leave your grandfather, so that's why marriage lasted longer. Not that nobody was ever in love, but we see these divorce rates suddenly in the past few decades. But at least in the US, women have only been allowed to get divorced and to have their own bank accounts and jobs in the past few decades. But the class transitioner in me has also talked about how it can be hard. It was hard for me to have romantic relationships because I didn't necessarily I could work with people who were in the new class that I was in, but I didn't necessarily relate to them outside of work. So it's like I don't really want to date other doctors. Like I don't get them. But then as a woman with a doctorate um, at the class I came from, a lot of men are intimidated by that, by having someone with a much higher education. Not all of them, but some. And then they can't always relate to what you do for work, which isn't necessary, but if they're insecure about it, then it's a problem. So I think there's some nuance in this conversation, but I think there's also a pretty significant part of the rest of what they talk about in the article, in that if these men aren't working and they're not helping around the house or with children, then what are they doing? And why would I do both and then add another dependent in my home? The article points out that this could also be dangerous and says that violent unrest is more likely from this group of young men who have little stake in society for their future. They're not working, they're not caring for anyone. And we all know that men have far more higher rates of violence than women do. So, what happened? Why do you think this is happening?